out of here. Give it up for your first comic, Bear Love. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Some noise. Give it up for Blake one more time. Come on, keep going. And he called me Big Bear Love, but I just lost 30 pounds. Of weed in the mail. Oh. That's why I got on this bus, because I can't pay rent.
I got you, buddy.
A stoner feels safe in Colorado because they went and legalized pot. Give it up for Colorado for that. That kind of put me out of a job, though. Nobody tells you what happened to the weed man, the one that made it out. He delivers pizza now. DoorDash. And these people with the snowboard racks heading up the Vale looking like cops, they're slowing down your food, I'm sorry. And Denver, they're the most messed up. They let us legalize pot, but then all around the city at the same time, they installed all these traffic circles. They've got stoners just doing laps. Lost as fuck. I tried to come to the race to the wall a few times and ended up right back in Denver. Sometimes I get in there just to process a breakup. Now that we legalized pot here in Colorado, I'm not too worried about the government looking in on our lives. Like the NSA looking at us, telling us what to buy on Facebook after we talk about it with our friends. But if the government's going to be watching us, I feel like they should be giving us some stats, like Spotify Wrapped. Am I actually the worst driver in Denver? Is that what my ex-girlfriend said? Because I feel like I'm in the top 1% of texting I'm on the way while still laying in bed. They have this information. Any parents in the crowd tonight? Well, stoners, we don't have a lot of kids, because we're pretty childish. But parents, you guys keep track of the height of your kids on the wall, see how good they're doing. Stoners, we keep track of the length of our hair. As the last time we saw a judge. I'm doing pretty good. A few judges in Michigan that would love to cut the locks. But you guys think it's easy being a stoner because I don't have a real job? But how many times have you used your job to get out of doing things you didn't want to do? These people know I don't have to work in the morning. I had to help a friend move a fish tank on Tuesday. I'm going up to Fort Collins next weekend to pick up a pit bull. I thought it would be nice if my friend got over his breakup with his girlfriend by getting off of my couch. But instead, we're getting a dog this weekend. Sometimes it'd be easier to have a real job, be a real bully. But my friend's from Boulder County. He's got hippie parents. And growing up is confusing enough, but when you got stoner parents, how do you go through that rebellious phase? Get a job, go to school, vote Republican. It's kind of hard to run away from your dad's teepee. He chases you down on horseback and says, "It's cool, bro, we can talk about it." But actually, hippies, they did some good things for society. They invented the word grounded. Take away the TV, take away the tablet, get grounded. Before that, we just beat our kids. I think I'm still grounded. I don't have hippie parents. My buddy, he's got hippie parents. In his family, a spooning means laying with your lover. In my family, a spooning means getting hit with a wooden spoon when you try and taste the gravy too soon. Somebody came up to me after a show one time, and they were like, "I've got a hippie dad, and he used to let us choose our own punishment." I was like, "What the fuck does that even mean?" And they were like, "Yeah, we got toilet paper in it, and so we chose not to see our best friend for a whole week." And I was like, "That's cool. I don't have hippie parents. I got to choose the stick my grandma would whoop me with off of the tree." Difference is when you got stoner parents and not. So I went out to Burning Man. Everybody heard of Burning Man? So it's a crazy festival out in the Nevada desert. It's in the middle of nowhere because it's the only place they let something like that happen. So I'm out there, and it's kind of like Disneyland for people on LSD. But my friends who's got hippie parents, their birth names, I'm going by Bear Love, which is not my birth name, believe it or not. So, but they're going by, they got hippie parents, like back in the day. So they're going by Blu-ray and Solmar. That's on the birth certificate, right? So they're out there at Burning Man at the festival, and they want a hippie name, right? They're like, what's our little name? They kind of realized they already came with hippie name. So the whole Burning Man, they went by Bob and Sam. You go by Bob, I'll go by Sam. They're like, we all fit in with these. So, alrighty. So, like I said, you guys put me out of work when you guys legalized pot here. Have you guys ever been so stoned you thought you invented something that you didn't really? Well, that happened to me when we were growing pot high up in Conifer. So we had all these hippies coming through and all these stoners, and they're trimming all this weed for us. And we asked them, okay, well, what's the worst thing that can happen when you're growing weed and you got a bunch of hippies? Well, since Colorado legalized pot, it's not the cops showing up. We found out that you could run out of Kool-Aid. That's the worst thing. So hippies in Chiba Hut at Denver, we got a restaurant called Chiba Hut. They put Kool-Aid on tap like it's a real drink for us. And so hippies love Kool-Aid. And I look up in the cabinet, and we're out of Kool-Aid, right? We're all parched, like I am right now. And I look up in the cabinet, and we got all kinds of sugar because my girlfriend shops at Costco. Right? So, but I look up in there, and we don't got no Kool-Aid. But all these stoners had brought tea up there, and I'm Scottish, so I don't drink English tea because we were part of the Revolutionary War. So I look up in there, and I'm like, all right, I get the gears turning, and I'm like, we can take the sugar water and flavor it with the tea. For 3 days, nobody called me out. You want another batch of sugar water tea, honey? My girlfriend's not calling me out. My friends, they probably thought there was pot in it looking at me, but it was just celestial season, sleeping time. So, but your family will keep you in check. My cousin came out of Texas, and he goes, Bear, this is really good. I'm telling him I wanted to open up a stand at Red Rocks, where all the concerts are, and sell the sugar water tea. It's better than the Kool-Aid with the artificial flavors. He said, this is really good, Bear, but I don't think you invented sweet tea. I was going to market it. I was like talking to patent agents. But, so I've got a little bit of gray in my hair, and I'm doing comedy, so you could say I am going through my midlife crisis. But I found out my generation really doesn't know how to do a midlife crisis. These guys bought a Harley. My generation doesn't have Harley money. Fuck! So a midlife crisis for my generation looks like a ride scooter through Denver. I got power. This battery's an hour and a half. You guys rode from Oregon? Shit. Fuck that. So, a midlife crisis for my generation looks like 35-year-olds should be trading recipes with the other moms at school. But instead, this weekend, she's getting her head shaved. Down in Denver, we got bald women. I'm still trying to date. I don't know what the deal is, G.I. Jane. And I'm not picking on the girls, G.I. Joe, he's doing it too. I guess he should have joined the military 25 years ago, but he's been working at a factory with his dad. His knees are gone. But you're going to find him this weekend at Bass Pro Shop. Looking for night vision goggles to hunt a deer. You need night vision goggles to hunt a deer. You're not the warrior we need, Tanner. They're just in the field. Alrighty, so you guys want me to go dirty or cleaner? This is where we turn it up a little bit. Alright, they said dirty. The kids said dirty.
The kids said dirty. Yeah, they want it.
No, they said it was going to be clean comedy. And I was like, so I can't tell jokes about weed? They were like, no, we want you to shower. So, that's the stipulations of the bus. Alright. But not everybody knows psychedelics is getting legal. They just legalized ibogaine for the veterans to come back and to help with PTSD. They just did that a couple weeks ago. It's a real big deal. People used to have to go to Canada to do it. So I figured I wanted to tell some people some of the rules of psychedelics, since I obviously know. So we're out at Burning Man, and my friend's dad, he sees us breaking up our LSD. We're gonna eat it, and he goes, "You got worried?" And I was like, yeah, because he's from the 60s. I thought he was fine. And he goes, how many did you eat? And I said, 1. He was confused. He goes, I guess they've probably got that dosage down by now. Because he took one and didn't come home for 30 weeks. I don't know what happened to him. So I said one. And he goes, oh, okay, all right. But then he says, you know the rules of psychedelics out here in the desert. I said, it's illegal. There ain't no rules. And he goes, yeah. He goes, actually, water's still wet. Fire's hot. And you can't fly. And if you're at Burning Man, there's the one I didn't know. It's don't forget your goggles. Because there's dust storms out there. Like, you see the tractors stirring up that dust on the way in here? Like, they get whipping out there in the desert. And when a lot of people are burning stuff out there, and something with the cold desert wind at night, there's little dust devils that whip up, you know? And so they tell you to bring your goggles. And I forgot my goggles. But I ended up, and my buddy, he forgot his goggles. We took our LSD and then we split up. Like I said, Burning Man's like LSD, or Disneyland for people on LSD. And so we broke the rules about the goggles, so it's psychedelic Russian roulette. And we're messing with witchcraft at this point, but I ended up meeting the girl of my dreams. And the person she brought from home, for the rest of the story, we'll call him Cockblocker. So we're walking around Burning Man, and like I said, there's all these arts and crafts. We're getting our face painted, we're doing all this other stuff, and we're making our own peyote, absinthe. So different things you can do at Burning Man, but we're having fun. Our face is painted, and my Cockblocker. So this is a costume party. So I'm dressed up as Wolverine. My love, she's dressed up as a unicorn. It's adorable. My Cockblocker is dressed up as none other than Napoleon Dynamite. Vote for Pedro. And so, and he's not even having fun. Me and her are frolicking, you know. Like, and he's over there just grimming me. You know? And I'm like, dude, have some fun. There's 70,000 other people here. And he didn't get the point. But luckily, that wizard was right, that old man. A dust storm did whip up. And I was like, this is our chance to dish Napoleon. So there's a bunch of structures out there. Hippies just build all this crazy shit. And one time I was up on one of the top of them. There's this guy on moonshine at the top. And it was like, I thought the Burning Man built it, but the people built it. So I get up there and there's this moonshine drunk guy on the top of this scaffolding. And I get up there and we're having fun. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Look, you can see the whole place. And he looks at me all drunk. He goes, we built this. You built this? I'm about to get down. So, but either way, so there's this big teepee, and as this dust storm whips up, there's this giant teepee about as big as here's the car. It's a huge thing. And we run over there, and me and her are trying to kind of ditch Napoleon, but he makes it. He makes it. This is track star. He ends up getting in there, you know. And so they're boarding up the teepee because there's a real storm, like dust storm whipping up. And we just make it in, and this guy with his big hat gets in there. It's Burning Man camp, so he goes, "Welcome to Munchkin Land." Yeah, it was a massage camp. There's no little people. But, so a bunch of stoners on blankets massaging each other on LSD and mushrooms and shit. You know, they're little mats like you have in kindergarten where you sit on the mat. You know, they got mats all over, and it's this giant teepee, probably 50, 70 people in there. And so it's a massage camp. Napoleon gets in there, and me and my girl are in there, and we sit down on the little pad. And I start rubbing her shoulders. You know, it's a massage camp. And Napoleon, he comes in and starts rubbing her feet. Here comes the most competitive massage I've ever been a part of. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win. So he goes side leg, I go side boob, right? You know? So we didn't realize though that the whole tent was watching us. Because me and him we're like, fuck you, I was like, shut up. And I was trying to get her to tell him, like, fuck off, but she's like, oh, you guys can feed me grapes. You know? She's loving it, you know. I'm like, fuck this, you know. So I'm right. So hippies have a lot of group sex, but it's not always because we want to. Sometimes because of Cockblocker and we rolled with it. You know? So, but either way, so we didn't realize that everybody's kind of watching, you know, us. We're in the middle, and so they were watching to see if we were going to kick that domino over, and we did. We definitely kicked that domino. And so a Burning Man orgy is kind of funny because everybody's in a costume. So we had the cast of Avengers there. We had Scooby-Doo and the Loch Ness Monster going too hard in the corner. Scooby-Doo was wild. So, but either way, you know, so it's a crazy thing. And it's over as fast as it happened. You know, and as soon as this group sex is over, you want to be out of there. You really don't want to linger after group sex. So I'm out of there. I'm like cleaning up. I'm like, okay, bye, my love, bye, Napoleon. I'll meet back up with you. You know, trying to figure out when we're all gonna meet back up. And I said, I gotta go change. I'm gonna come back, and we're gonna meet back up. But we didn't end up meeting up for like 4 or 5 days because it was a 7-day party. And so we end up meeting back up, and guess what? She comes up, and she goes, hey, Bear! She saw me first, and she's with him. And she goes, guess what? I go, what? We're going back to Munchkin Land? And she goes, no, he proposed to me. So I had a moment of clarity right there. I was the cock blocker. And that was his wife to be. So let's check in on my friend. So as we're leaving the teepee, like I'm getting out of there, and the guy with the big hat, he comes up to me and he goes, I just want you to know, you're now the mayor of Munchkin Land. So I'm the mayor of Munchkin Land. But, so we get out of there. So let's check on my friend. So he also forgot his goggles, right? So I said it's Russian roulette. He didn't get so lucky. Well, he felt like he did at first. So he wanted to go to the edge of the campground, which was way out there. So he goes out the edge. There's still camps out there. But he gets there, and there's this sketchy, like, circus tent set up. And there's a sign in Christmas lights. And the sign says Anal Blah Camp. He gets closer, he realizes that blah is bead. Anal Bead Camp is a Burning Man camp. He thought it was a joke because that's just funny, right? So he gets in there, he's on LSD, which is not a super sexual drug like cocaine or something where it's not just one track. So he gets in there like it's a journey, like he's on a Zelda quest. So he opens the door and not a joke camp. There's one person, and she is on a table, much like this one. And he thinks she's going to play a joke on him once he gets closer and say, nah, this is a joke, you get a 6, 7 month. But no. But no. As he gets closer, she just gestures to the other table. And she says, she looks over there, and he gets it. And on the table, there's KY jelly. There's all shapes and sizes of anal beads. And there's blood. And so he's on LSD, so he says,
you know what? I will take a piece, man. I will take a piece.
He's on LSD, so he's like, do I run or do I go through it? So he says he's not a chicken, so he went through it. He walked over to the table, and as he gets a little closer, he still thinks it's a joke. But now she's done like a little move. Now they're looking eye to eye. Brown eye. So, sorry. I'm sorry. But it gets better. So he gets the gloves on. He don't know her, right? So he puts the gloves on, and he goes over to the table, and he doesn't want to be rude, so he doesn't pick out the biggest anal bead. You know? But supposedly she's into this, so he doesn't want to go small. So he gets in there, and he picks out the Goldilocks of anal beads. Just right. So he thinks, but he gets up there and he puts one in. And she doesn't even make a peep. She does not make a peep. He's like, does she even like this? So he puts another one in. He gets them all in there. He goes, what the hell's wrong with her? Does she even like this? He goes, it must be a speed thing. So like he's gonna start a lawnmower. He gets in there. And I told you, he forgot his goggles, so when he pulled, the shit hit the fan. So if you're at Burning Man, don't forget the rules. If you're on Ibogaine, sure you have PTSD. Don't forget the rules of acid. What are they? Water's wet, fire's hot, and you can't fly. And if you're at Burning Man, don't forget your goggles. All right, I won't leave you on that one because that's rough. So I won't leave you on that one. But what I will leave you with is I actually did some research because I wanted to write some jokes for the ladies that aren't so crude, right? You know. So, but I had to do some research. The ladies are into some messed up stuff. Murder mysteries? Number one thing, they ain't watching Joe Rogan. So these ones are for the ladies, if you will. If Jeffrey Dahmer was alive today, for the ladies, how many times do you think he'd get ripped off online trying to buy a fleshlight? Just trying to decorate. Another plastic one. Looking up PayPal terms of service. Got it. All right. If you are what you need, maybe Jeffrey Dahmer was just trying to be a better person. All right, as we all should too. Thank you guys for coming out. Have a good night.
Good job.
Right back up here.
He's 6'2", I think. I wasn't talking about anything else.